I'm tracking big snow potential right after Thanksgiving, where it'll move later on in today's video. Welcome in, folks. Happy Friday, November 21st, and tracking the return of winter weather for many of us. It's going to be a slow ride, though, on that push east. We're going to start with big snow, I think, into the plains, into the Midwest. And then as we go deeper into December, tracking that potential that all this active winter weather will start to move east towards the eastern seaboard, giving you all the data that points to that in today's video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Gerald. I'm a meteorologist at WCCB Charlotte. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell for the latest notifications. Doing all those things are free. It doesn't cost you a penny. All it does is help you and help me kind of keep the channel running here. So again, I really appreciate that. It means the world to me. Also want to say thank you to all the nice comments we've gotten recently and really everything. It's just been a pretty good month of growth on the channel and very thankful for all of you tuning on in. All right, so enough of me babbling. Let's get right on into the fun stuff and start talking winter weather. Now, next to me is the latest run, brand new, hot off the press of our European computer model, and showing that general idea that I've been talking about for the past couple of days, where we're going to get these big snowstorms, but they're starting a little bit further west, out into the plains, potentially even the southern plains, the Midwest, parts of the Northeast could get in on snow. And again, I think eventually, and I'll show you why, as we get deeper into December, that snow shield is going to start to work east as we start to get into more favorable teleconnections, and we'll be talking about that later on. Before we start talking too much about this big snow potential, though, I do want to give you a quick look at what's happening out there right now, because we do have some active weather for some of us that could even be bringing some impacts. We've got this big ridge starting to build in, and that's really bringing a warmer air into the eastern U.S. It's starting to pull north up out of the Gulf, out of the Atlantic. It's a rather cloudy and relatively muggy day for many of us south of the Ohio Valley today, and all thanks to a low pressure that's really starting to get going. It's brought some flooding. It's brought a couple tornado warnings, some severe weather. So feeling a little bit more like spring than late fall for many of us right now in the east. That won't last forever, though. I am tracking a cool down towards Thanksgiving that'll at least bring temporary relief for many of us. In terms of radar imagery, you can see that storm system getting going. We've got this band of rain from Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, up into northern Missouri there, and then through much of the Ohio Valley getting rain. We've got rain down into the southeast. Just kind of a showery day for many of us, and if you're not getting the showers, you're likely seeing some sort of cloud cover as this storm system is continuing to crank eastbound. Let's show it to you on our high-resolution model, show you where it's going, and kind of give you a rundown of now through Thanksgiving, and then break down that pattern change that, once again, is going to introduce snowfall chances. All right, starting with the near term, here's our high-resolution model, or high-resolution rapid refresh. Again, the name kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You can see that rain continuing to propagate eastbound throughout the overnight tonight. And this is right around midnight or so, maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and you've got that rain working into places like Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C., down into the Virginias, Kentucky. Watch this evening and overnight for maybe a bit of a severe weather chance down here into kind of the core of the warm sector, places like Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi. Would not be surprised to see some isolated severe weather at the very least during the evening hours and into the overnight. Then we're waking up on Saturday, showers still working through the mid-Atlantic, coastal New England, down into, like I said, the Virginias, the Carolinas could see some showers. Same thing for Georgia and Florida as the system works out of here. And then it's gone pretty good by Saturday afternoon. Maybe a couple leftover showers into the Carolinas especially could work through, but generally speaking, the storm system is out of here. And then you see the next one working in, another clipper working into the Northeast, which could bring some snowfall up into New York State. Eventually by Sunday afternoon, even up into Vermont, New Hampshire. And again, going to be a quick hitter and not going to bring snow to everybody, but especially some higher elevations of New England. Absolutely could see some snow out of that one. As we zoom things out, though, I want to kind of show you the next storm system coming through. We'll pause it right here or pick up where we left off. Here's Sunday afternoon. This is the European model now from this afternoon. Shows that clipper system, maybe some snow up into the mountains of New England. Definitely is something that could happen. Starting to dry out for most folks south of there, but here comes the next system, low pressure once again developing down into the Four Corners. But what's beginning to happen is we've just got a pattern of a lot of cutters, as we say, or these storm systems that start around the Four Corners and then cut right through the heart of the country instead of maybe riding the Gulf and then up the eastern seaboard like you would get for a big nor'easter. We're not seeing that pattern right now, and that makes sense. It's only late November, start of December. You would expect this, and this is not bad news for folks in the east. The more snowpack we get out west, probably the better it's going to be for us on down the road. And eventually, like I said, I think we're going to start to propagate that storm track further and further east over the coming weeks. But first, this one right before Thanksgiving moves up, brings another shot of some warmer air, maybe some severe weather. Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana here by Monday afternoon. You keep it going, and by the time we get on into your Tuesday afternoon, bringing some rain through the eastern U.S., Wednesday afternoon, bringing some rain. Could absolutely bring some snow into the Dakotas and Minnesota, definitely bringing some snow into the Northeast, but behind it, a lake effect kicks up. This is by Thanksgiving evening. We've got lake effect snow into Michigan, portions of the Northeast, the typical areas, Erie, maybe Cleveland, the Tug Hill, areas like that absolutely could see some lake effect right after your Thanksgiving. But I think it's a little bit further than these frames showed that we really start to up the active pattern with another storm system that's going to form. And this one could bring much bigger impacts for some folks. So let's break down the snow chances for Thanksgiving, and then we'll talk about that next big storm and the pattern change that I'm really starting to see shape up. Now, while I've got my eyes further on down the road, this Thanksgiving system could bring some surprise snow. The kind of setup is we've got this big vorticity lobe swinging down out of Canada. This is a day or two before Thanksgiving, kind of that Wednesday or so. And you can see all the vorticity. That's going to help to create our storm system. But notice it gets kind of stuck between systems. We've got the one out in front of it that's just moving a little too quick. And because of that, the northern stream and the southern stream aren't looking right now as if they're going to phase together and bring any sort of big snowstorm here for your Thanksgiving, which is good. We'll avoid the travel trouble as we've just got very quick southern stream. So they kind of miss each other. Then the northern stream comes down. That one definitely brings lake effect, but it does look like right around Thanksgiving into Black Friday and that Saturday, you get kind of another shot of vorticity that comes on down and tries to wrap around it. Now, if those two can interact, maybe we get a secondary little low pressure that could try to form and get something going. But right now, again, just doesn't look like the most likely scenario. So I think this is going to be a mostly warm storm for our Thanksgiving, excuse me. And you can kind of see that on the European ensembles as well. Notice how low pressure develops and then just flies north up into the Great Lakes. This is next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. You can see we don't really have any coastal storm track, all the low pressures working on the Great Lakes. And again, that's good for lake effect snow fans and not so good if you want snow kind of closer to the coast. And yeah, you just don't see a lot of members showing any sort of coastal energy getting going. Some of them showed it a couple days ago. They've backed off now and really just cut this right up inland and then get high pressure to work on behind it. But as I mentioned, that doesn't mean no one will see snow. We are going to get some pretty good lake effect out of it. So you can see, here we go by Tuesday and into Wednesday. As I mentioned, North Dakota, Minnesota, up into Canada could definitely get some snow out of this right before Thanksgiving, that kind of 25th, 26th time frame. And then a lot of snow up into the St. Lawrence River Valley of Canada and up towards the Hudson Bay. I say the St. Lawrence River Valley, more the Hudson Bay than anything. And then you see that lake effect machine start to crank up just in time for Black Friday. This is Thanksgiving Day into Black Friday. I do think some lake effect definitely looking likely. And then snow chances once again start to build in a big time way. You start to notice that. Well, what's causing that? That's the pattern change I've been eyeing and telling you about. Let's go ahead and break it down. All right, so what's the setup here? Well, it's all coming back to the upper levels. We've got a trough that's going to work in after Thanksgiving. That's those blue colors on your map. You can see working into the Great Lakes, and that makes sense. That's a pocket of cold air over the Great Lakes. Yeah, that usually means lake effect snow. So that checks out here. Again, this is for your Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the day before, and then into Thanksgiving itself and into the days following. And that trough's going to bring a shot of cooler air and probably pretty nice conditions, honestly, for Thanksgiving and Black Friday into the eastern United States outside of that lake effect potential. I think it's going to feel, a little more festive out there, meaning at least chillier compared to some of the warmer temperatures at least some of us are seeing and are going to see into the lead up of this. After that, what happens is a big trough looks to dump out into the western U.S. right around December 1st or so. Obviously, give or take a couple of days. And this right here, the map you see, is a classic setup for a big-time winter weather event into the plains and potentially big-time storminess into the southeast. We've got this big trough. And even almost, has a bit of a connection to the north, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's going to bring some really good cold air down into the western U.S. and into the plains. And then you've got this big ridge into the east. That's going to bring warmer temperatures. And it's kind of that clash combined with the lift over that clash and even some classic downsloping winds that are going to stretch the vorticity. And a lot of crazy meteorology terms happening here. But basically, it just means we're likely to get a pretty strong low pressure right around 10 or so days from now. Classic, probably Colorado low or that general area. And then it's going to once again probably cut like many of the storms have shown, thanks to that big ridge in the United States over the east at least. And this has been the expectation. I've told you folks for a while. I think we'll get a cool down for Thanksgiving. Then I expect another warm up in the eastern U.S., but we're going to get a big cool down, it looks like, out into the plains and out west. And that warm up in the east is going to hold on, but not forever. I still think, and I continue to hold by this standing, and I'll show you why again at the end of the video, that by the middle of December, at least after the first week, but more likely the middle of the month, closer to Christmas, we're going to start to flip the pattern around again and get cooler and colder air into the eastern U.S. and up the chances for some sort of winter weather as it looks right now. All right, let's show you two models. Let's show you the European, the GFS, and I know it's far out there, but let's give you a general idea of what this system could look like, what kind of impacts it could bring, and then we'll show you some ensembles, and then I'll show you why I still think December looks quite snowy, even for areas further east, although we might have to wait a little bit longer. All right, let's start with the European model, and we'll start on Thanksgiving Day. You can see we've got the lake effect snow happening, but other than that, it looks like a pretty quiet day weather-wise for most of the United States as of right now. Now, some of the models have been showing this. This is something to note by Black Friday or so. It looks like a little clipper system could try to come on down out of the northwest and maybe try to ride this cold boundary. Could that get a quick little surprise snow for portions of the northeast? Absolutely could. Would not rule it out, although you could see it kind of loses some strength on the way. Then comes that big trough, and look at the map explode. This is by the 30th of November, so the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and then into that next Monday. Big time winter storm potential into the Rockies, places like Denver, into the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota. Big time stormy potential back out further east from there. And you can see this thing ride the boundary. And you've got, honestly, what's showing up to be a blizzard on the model 10 or so days from now for places like the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota. And then you can see a lot of warm air pulling north from there at the same time. And this pattern continues. Check it out. You keep getting these overrunning events on the European, but notice how it slowly, every time we get it, marches further east. And again, I don't want you to look at these maps and take it as details that we're going to get exactly snow in Minneapolis on whenever this is, the 7 p.m. December 1st. Don't want you to look at the map like that. I want you to look at the general pattern. One big storm system with big snow potential up into the northern plains, storminess to the south and east of there. And then the next storm's a little bit further east. And then the next storm a little bit further east from that. I think that's going to be the theme through December as I see it right now. We're going to start with big storm and snow potential into the Rockies and into the plains, then maybe the Central Plains, and then maybe the Midwest, and then maybe the Ohio Valley, and then maybe the East Coast and Southeast by the time we get towards, New Year's. It's going to be a slow progression, so hold on. I know it'll take some time. It's a little annoying, but I really do think that's kind of the situation we're looking at. GFS model shows a similar outlook here. We've got that lake effect snow for Thanksgiving, and then here comes that big piece of energy, and pretty similar. Gets a lot of snow into the northern and central plains, into the Rockies, tries to get some snow into the Midwest, and you can just see it's got this same general pattern of every storm system trying to march a little bit further and further east. So while way too soon for specifics, I think that's kind of generally what it's looking like after Thanksgiving. Let's show you to you on the ensembles and show you the chance of snow. And then I'll go ahead and talk about that MJO that I think is really going to come around and help us out by about the middle of December. All right, this is 24-hour snowfall mean on the models. We'll start with the GFS and its ensemble members. So this is the day before Thanksgiving. You can see, like I said, snow potential into North Dakota, Minnesota, up into Canada. Then you can see the lake effect snow beginning after that. Then comes that next big storm potential, and notice it's showing a big swath of snow into the Four Corners, the Northern Rockies, into the Dakotas, Nebraska, maybe places as far south as Iowa, Minnesota, and I say as far south like that's fairly far south, probably more so as far east as might be a better way to word it, and then even get some snow into Wisconsin on this model run, and kind of keeps that general theme. But notice as you get further into time, starts to march it a little bit further east, and by the time we get about a week or so into December, moving that storm track closer to the eastern U.S. Here's the European ensembles. Here's that little quick burst of snow before Thanksgiving. There's the lake effect snow behind it. And then here, once again, is that big storm signal for something right around 10 days from now. And lines up pretty well with the operational runs I showed you earlier. And you can see that kind of keep on working on through. And obviously, you lose some of the mean as you go deeper into December. That's just because the models start to spread and it stops overlapping as much to get as big of a signal. All right, so that's kind of the ensembles and what they show. Let me show you this as well. This is the MJO, and I've shown it to you 1,000 times already. I'll continue to show it to you because I think it's a great tool to use. Basically, phase 1, phase 8, and for some of us, phase 7 And for some others, phase 2 are kind of colder phases. Right now, we're in phase 6, though, and you can see what phase 6 has. Generally speaking, warmer temperatures across the United States, and that's why right now we're not getting a whole lot of snow for most of us. As we start to rotate ahead, though, towards the start of December, it looks like we're going to get into phase 7. All right, and that's kind of what this chart is showing you. If I go back and show you phase 7 again, let me show you this map. Phase 7 right here, what does it have? Well, it's got big cold up into the northern plains. Well, guess what? That lines up perfectly with what the models are showing as we get into phase 7. Big cold into the plains, and then that southeast ridge bringing warmer temperatures down into the southeast is exactly what you see. So it makes sense. As we get towards the middle of December, the 15th into the 20th, we start to loop into phase 8. What does phase 8 show back on the other map? Well, phase 8 shows a lot more cold further into the east, the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, the southeast, the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley. It shifts all that cold that'll start into the plains closer to the eastern seaboard by the middle of December is what you see there in the models. And I think that's really the key to take away here. We just have to be kind of patient. I'm still buying a snowy December. Just got to wait a little bit longer. I think the first week is going to be big for the plains, and then as we go into the second week, maybe into the Midwest, and then by the time we get closer to Christmas and New Year's, we're slowly going to up the snow chances further into the eastern U.S. and slowly but surely likely further south as well. And that's my thoughts, and I'm sticking to it for now until something big changes in the data. But just kind of a waiting game, folks. So don't lose hope. I know it's going to be kind of a warm period ahead, but still seeing pretty good shots for winter weather over the coming month or so. All right, that's all I got for you. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a wonderful day. This one was probably a little bit shorter, but I think got the point across and kind of just saying the same things I've said the past couple videos. So we'll try to condense it if we can. I'll be on WCCB Charlotte tomorrow, so you can catch me there at 6 and 10. And same thing again for your Sunday. All right, y'all have a great one. Stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.